Hey guys, it's HMK and today I'm going to bring you an ambitious new Zelda video. In the past, I've tackled what we need to see in Kingdom Hearts 3 and Super Smash Bros. 4. But now I'm going to talk about my ideas on what we need to see in the next Legend of Zelda. Of course, to clarify, I am talking about the next console Legend of Zelda for the Wii U, as we already become aware of A Link to the Past 2 for the 3DS. The Legend of Zelda has been the subject of fierce fandom and fantasy over the years, as Nintendo has done the impossible in creating a series that continues to get better, more immersive, and more refined, with each new installment bringing fresh concepts and innovation while also enriching the legend with each new story. As The Legend of Zelda is a series of the highest standard, it should be noted that all these are opinionated ideas and in no way should be taken as fact. So let's get into it. The way I'm going to structure this video is in 3 parts: gameplay, characterization, and premise possibilities with setting. Now in terms of gameplay, when it comes to a 3D console Zelda, it has been the subject of debate amongst fans since the advent of the Wii. With Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Wind Waker, and the GameCube version of Twilight Princess taking a more classic 3D approach when it comes to swordplay and item usage, while the Wii version of Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword has ushered in a new era of motion controls and intuitive combat with precise item control. With the Wii U, both of these formulas are indeed possible, and though some pose the thought of toggling between gameplay schemes, that would compromise the entire game in my opinion, as the combat and control is reflective over the entire game mechanic and developers would have to build the game up to try and sedate both options, which sounds like it'd end up like a mess to me. So it begs the question, what direction should the next console Zelda should take? Well, you have to look at it this way. Skyward Sword's enemy designs were exaggerated to show a weak spot or an opening to attack to complement the one-to-one swordplay. Though I was a huge fan of that, I would want to see the next Zelda to return to more of a traditional format. The reason is because that gives us the chance for more enemies, for more fast-paced combo-based combat, and something in the same vein as Twilight Princess with hidden arts and an arsenal of different simple commands, so it doesn't get too muddy or complicated. Zelda games were never difficult to handle, and I don't want them to start now. To elaborate on what I mean by faster paced combat, something simple like Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess, but with some depth. Think of different combos seen in Wind Waker, but with more animations, different level of striking power, and the ability to cancel into a type of art seen in Twilight Princess, such as the ending blow, the backslice, or the hem splitter. I want a more stylistic Zelda with combat with the ability to change styles depending on the sword you have, for more powerful attacks to really show off the skill of Link, who houses the spirit of the hero. For items, they need to serve more than just one function in order to stay relevant in the game, because time and time again when you get an item, with the exception of Skyward Sword, when you get an item you use it like a few times within a dungeon and never use it again. So they need to have something in the same respect as the double hookshot in Twilight Princess and the whip in Skyward Sword, which serve as multiple functions, you know what I mean? Also, the magic meter should make a return, replacing the stamina bar. We need to see Link wield more magic and bring back the magic arrows as well, just like the fire, ice, and light arrows. In terms of gameplay, I really don't want them to shake up the formula too much, but bring some innovation and evolution to show off deeper engagement without the use of motion control. Characterization. The Legend of Zelda is well known for crafting quirky, mysterious, seductive, badass characters. This new Zelda should be no different. One thing that has been the subject of debate over the years is should they include voice acting in Legend of Zelda. This is quite a pickle actually. On one side of the fandom, they wish to see the series with full implemented voice acting, but on the other side, thinks we are okay with a text box and that voice acting would potentially ruin the series. In my opinion, I feel they should include a voice acting in the next Legend of Zelda. Now hear me out. Listen, in a capacity that would potentially please everyone. Every character should definitely have a voice, but not our language like English or Japanese. I'm talking Hylian. Remember when Midna would talk? Every time she would talk, it would be in non-translatable words. Think of something like that, but every character actually speaks the Hylian language with the Hylian alphabet. There's a great way to get immersed into the game. We got a taste of that when Zelda sings her song in Skyward Sword, so why not expand that? Hell, I'll even go a step further to suggest that every race in the Zelda series should have their own specific language or dialogue, just like the Zora, Goron, or Gerudo. But all in all, this will be translated in the text box. So now we come to Link. The question is that, no one can really agree on is, should Link speak? Well, we've seen that he has the capacity to speak in Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. We don't hear it, and we don't know his dialogue, but obviously he does speak, so we know he's not mute. But this is as much as our adventure as it is Link, so Link should stay kind of neutral, and I don't want him to speak in the game. Though it's been shown that Link has given hints to his personality through the game, it has never been really fleshed out. But in Skyward Sword it came dangerously close, because even though Link is supposed to stay kind of neutral, and Link is supposed to be left to interpretation, Skyward Sword showed that he has the capacity to be self-conscious, rage, spite, arrogance, depression, desperation, ruthlessness, and resolve. Even though in the end he is still humble and courageous like all Links are supposed to be. Though I thought that was cool, we need to have a neutral feel in the beginning, which leads to my next idea. The ability to shape Link in your adventure. Link is supposed to represent you, the player, in this fantastical adventure, and the idea to mold Link along the way sounds like a plan. But how, you might ask? Well, I don't want a feature like this to run wild and take away from the fact that Link is supposed to have unlimited courage and unbreakable will, but the things that make it your own experience and a bit unique can be implemented in the game. For example, certain choices that you take when you speak to a character, the options you take when you help certain people, or the way you kill certain enemies, or the certain way you choose when the dialogue options are given to you. All this will shape in Link in the way that he stands, the way he converses with others, such as having his hand on his hip, his arms folded, or behind his back in a skeptical, serious, or respectful manner. This can also change how certain cutscenes play out and what action Link takes, and even multiple endings at the end of the game. Link will have a personality that will be more comparable to a specific player, perhaps a cheerful, troublemaking prankster, a sworn, serious warrior filled with duty, or a cold, ruthless hunter filled with disdain. In the end, this will not change his alignment deep down. Through all in all, Link will still be heroic, courageous, and overall good, although some of his morals and tactics may come into question. It really comes down to how you, the player, plays the game, and since Nintendo is a leader in innovation, this idea doesn't seem too far off. Setting and possible premises. Every Zelda game is known for its unique and usually expansive world that acts as a setting for each epic story. But this game should be no different. Though I love Skyward Sword's surface, it was brimming with life, activities, and enemies, I feel we need a big, grand landscape. Something about 2 times, you heard me, 2 times the size of Twilight Princess. But instead of being empty, it should be bursting at the seams with activities and enemies. A place where missions and side quests are abundant. Ripping another page from Twilight Princess, there should be more escort assignments or infiltration missions that we only got a taste of in Twilight Princess, such as the Gerudo Fortress and the Hidden Village. Truly to create a living, breathing world. As each incarnation of Hyrule is different in terms of geography, they all get tied together through landmarks and staple areas like Death Mountain, Gerudo Desert, Lake Hylia, etc, etc. But with this game, I want us to be more ambitious. Hidden canyons, explorable seas, expansive pastures, unforgiving tundras. Zelda games have dabbled in these different landscapes before, but I want a bigger and bolder world. Some may pose the argument that bigger isn't always better, but I'm confident that Nintendo can do this. Now, timeline wise, where should we continue? I like to say for the record, I personally don't want another story in the unified timeline, which is Skyward Sword, Minish Cap, Four Swords, and Ocarina of Time. Maybe later. I will want the next console Zelda to fall in the child timeline, as I want the story to continue or come after Twilight Princess or before Twilight Princess, or maybe a brand new title in the timeline after Four Swords Adventures. I still want the story to have connections to a thriving Hyrule and the Triforce. Of course, in the adult timeline, Hyrule was flooded and they found a new Hyrule. In the decline timeline, Hyrule becomes a shadow of its former glory, and fuck, it's about to get its 6th game. Now for possible premises, some of these may contradict what I said earlier about my timeline placement preference, but I'm just throwing out ideas. For possible continuations, we can have the story that takes place after Skyward Sword, that highlights directly the founding of Hyrule that will actually take place during the game, with the development of towns and the castle, and the introductions of other races to the Hylians. Or we can have Link return to the land of Termina for yet another race against the clock to save a doomed land. As for story elements, this can indeed set up a premise. I want Link to be more tied to the villain Ganondorf in their next confrontation. As with most Zelda games, Link goes through horrific and traumatizing experiences in order to put him on the path of hero. In the next Legend of Zelda game, I want to see Ganondorf directly responsible for this. How? Well, I'm sure it's going to be heartbreaking, like killing Link's parents, destroying his hometown, stealing a cherished item. I could go on for days, but it would have to be something to set up a personal epic with a strong undertone for revenge. Something that hasn't been associated with Link in the past. Something that will blur the fine line between justice and vengeance. Well, that's it for my ideas. For now, I have many more Legend of Zelda videos, but I don't want to, drag it on and get you guys bored of my ramblings or whatever. But in the end, this is what I think we should see in the next Legend of Zelda console game. So for everything Zelda and everything hectic gaming related, keep it here at HMK's page, subscribe to HMK9Capit. And until the next Legend of Zelda video, or possibly part 2, I will check you guys later.